I also believe that part of the reason why I'm driven is because I'm gay. I think that in a way I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder that I had to prove that I was,
Got it.
that I was worthy of love. You have to treat people the way you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be treated as somebody who is respected and well known and smart and capable of what I'm doing. And
Right, right.
I think that's part of success is, you just don't wait for it to happen. You got to kind of make it happen.
Absolutely.
You got to go shake that money tree. You got to put out the energy that you want to get back. Mama said you are who you hang out with and you are what you eat.
Oh, that's so good.
Right. So
Yeah.
apparently I'm all Wendy's.
Today on the podcast, I welcome and have a fabulous conversation with Mr. Nicholas Yale. Nick is a realtor. He's a founder and owner of his own brokerage firm, Hub Realty. He has been serving the Phoenix area since 1998. On today's episode of the Reinvent You podcast, Nick discusses how he stepped out on faith and risked it all to start his own firm, how having a chip on his shoulder has helped him to get ahead in life, and finally, what his definition of success looks like. Today, my guest is a friend, and he is probably one of the funniest people that I know. Today, please take a seat, pull up a chair, be a fly on the wall with my conversation with Mr. Nicholas Yale.
Everybody going crazy. The crowds are going crazy.
Yep, just because you're here. That's exactly why.
I don't know why you think I'm the funniest person because, girl, when we have dinner with you, like my cheeks hurt for days afterwards. So
Well, that's at least 2/3 because of you, though. I mean, it really is. And so I just
kidding. We are not funny. It's margaritas.
it's margaritas, yeah, and it's cervezas, right? So I'm having
sponsored by White L.
by Four Peaks Brewery.
By Four Peaks Brewery.
There we go. And what are you imbibing in?
Well, I'm in post-lunch hangover mode because in my office we have Mexican fiesta on Fridays, and
Nice.
So I had margaritas, but now I can say it.
Okay. So you have
It's
Mexican.
bubbly. It's fancy.
Bubbly. So you have Mexican fiesta. Is this something you do for your employees, for your team, or do you guys have like a potluck?
It kind of started. Actually, it started during COVID. When we all went into lockdown, and of course, real estate agents, we are the bedrock of society, and without us, the world comes to a crashing halt. So our governor made our industry essential because so we, for the most part, we were still coming into the office mainly to get away from our spouses, and because working from home doesn't really work that well in real estate. And so it just kind of became this. On Friday, we had to celebrate that we had made another week. And so one of our agents started bringing in ajo owls, which is like, it's the greasy spoon of Mexican food.
Really? From that little town of Ajo?
No, it's right up on Central and Camelback. Ajo owls, it will not be sponsoring you because I'm going to call it the greasy spoon of Mexican food. But they have a Mexican pizza that's like a thick tortilla that's deep fried, and they put chicken and like a cream cheese jalapeno sauce. It's ridiculous.
Wow. My
So
mouth is watering right now.
When we talk about our COVID-19, this is the reason why.
Right.
So every Friday this has become kind of a tradition now. Every Friday we have ajo owls, Mexican pizza, and margaritas, and
okay.
Cool.
Why not? You can make the rules, right? So as a way of introducing you to my listeners, if you had to describe yourself in three, characteristics, three adjectives that best describe Nicholas Yale. For me, I think you're funny. I think you're compassionate. And I also think you're very thoughtful. And so what are your three? I do. I can give examples of all three. I mean, that's who I see you as. And so how would you describe yourself?
Um, well, I would say number one, I'm very driven. And I'm really not sure where that came from, because I did not come from a driven family.
Oh,
If they're
yeah.
listening, sorry,
We're going to delve into that.
um, but I'm very driven, and that's driven in my business. It's driven in my friendship. Um, I have always been a put your full ass into it, never do it half-assed. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of my thing. Um, in fact, I have a great sign in my office now that says "humble" with a side of Kanye.
Yeah.
So, uh, so I would say driven number one. I swear a lot, so just beware.
Totally
But
fine.
the thing about there's been proven that people that swear actually are more truthful, and I would
Okay.
say that I'm very truthful. I have a hard time. I'm like Abe Lincoln. I have a hard time telling a lie. Like, um, is it Abe that cut down the tree? Who cut down the cherry tree? Clearly, I'm not a history buff.
Right. I know, me either.
I would say I'm very honest. And sometimes to my own detriment.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to, and it's worked well in my business. You know, in real estate, you know, it's not exactly known as being the most, you know, upstanding industry. So you know, we're one step ahead of used car salespeople.
Got it. Always selling.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
So I would say I'm very driven. I'm very honest. I'm also extremely loyal. For me, loyalty is everything.
Okay.
In my industry, you know, you make relationships with your title company, with your favorite lender, with your favorite mortgage company, with your
Right.
favorite homeowner inspector, and that kind of stuff. And over the years, I've always been very, very loyal to that core group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I am is because I don't want them to buy me lunches. I can buy my own damn lunches. You know,
Right.
I don't need flowers. I need your hard work ethics and trust. And I need to
Mm-hmm.
know that I can trust you. And so when I have other companies that come to me and say, you know, hey, I know that you're loyal to X, Y, and Z title company. Actually, I'll say it. I know that you're loyal to First American Title, but if you just we could be your number two. And I'm like, that sounds great for you, but that's really not fair to my number one because they earned that trust.
Right.
And until they screw up, die, or pass away, like they've earned that. So I'm very loyal to my business partners. I'm very loyal to people that I work with.
Mm.
Uh, I'm very loyal to my friends. My husband, you know, I mean,
It depends on the day of the week.
uh,
Tuesdays.
right. But no, I think for me, being loyal cuts into so many other parts of your life.
Right.
You know, you can't be an honest person and be loyal. I feel, you know,
Okay.
you can't be driven and be loyal. You can't be compassionate and be loyal. So, unless you're Donald Trump and then you're loyal to yourself and only yourself, and then I guess everything I said just negates it. But I think that you have to be a very, very good friend of mine is a she's a yoga master yogi, whatever they call them, and she's
Uh-huh.
always sending me cute little memes on how I can better my life. And the one that she sends me all the time is be a better human.
Mm.
And I think, you know, for me, like, I really want to be a better human.
Right.
Don't tell somebody who doesn't want to be a better human to be a better human. It does not go
They
over
don't
there.
want to hear that bullshit.
Oh no, I said that to my mother and she exploded.
Wow. Be a better
uh,
human, mom.
yeah, I'm like, I just need you to be a better human, be a compassionate, nice, honest human being.
Right.
Because I think that's really a lost art in our world right now.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah,
Totally agree. Because a lot of people are just out for self and
right,
they're not, and but in at all costs, you
right,
know. And so as long as I am able to get mine, doesn't
right.
matter if I'm being dishonest, if I'm being a straight shooter or whatever.
Which is so disingenuous to yourself. Like I've always said in real estate, like I'm never going to get rich on one client.
Right.
I mean, unless I'm doing a massive deal, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on Bravo TV yet, so
Not
I'm not
yet.
doing massive deals. So you'll never get rich on one client. You get
Mm-hmm.
rich on referrals.
Right.
And the only way you're going to get referrals is if the people who have used you, like, know, and trust you, and
Mm-hmm.
trust being the key operative.
Right.
You know, I tell people, you don't have to like me. We don't have to split a beer when this transaction's over, but you
Mm-hmm.
do have to trust me.
Right.
You have to trust me. You have to respect me.
Right. And, going to what you're saying with the trust, of course, my wife, Shelly, of course, you met her first before you met me. And
Love that.
so we were talking before, she knew I was going to come in and record with you today. And I just remember the stories that she told, that she would, before she moved to Phoenix, this was before I came out, of course, before you even knew me.
Mm-hmm.
But she had met with you 4 or 5 times, didn't really find anything that she loved. And she was back in St. Louis. And then I think she said you contacted her and said, I think I've seen enough houses with you. I know enough about what you want. I think you're going to love this place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from St. Louis, she put in a bid for it, and it's the house we have today.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember asking her, and I said, well, what was it about Nick that you just trusted him? She said, well, in the interactions when she was here in Phoenix, she said, I loved his sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
She also loved your experience,
Mm-hmm.
but she loved your attention to detail, and
Mm-hmm.
that you could remember every single thing about a house and apply that to what the owner wanted.
Right.
And so when I'm talking about, I know you're a businessman, but I also think, thoughtful and compassionate, because you could have stuck her in some shit.
Right.
And so to your, benefit, those are 3 things that she loved about you as well.
Yeah.
In that whole transaction.
Well, and that goes to a couple of things. I feel that, you have to be honest, because I have a horrible memory. So I couldn't lie to you because I wouldn't remember the lie that I told you. So it's just better for me, policy, be
Tell the
honest.
truth.
And then it also goes to my horrible memory that asked me what I ate for breakfast yesterday. I couldn't tell you, but I'll tell you about a house I showed you 15 years ago. So, I think you kind of remember the things that you.
Yeah, perfect.
That are
So
important.
I want to talk about, you said a few minutes ago that, one of your characteristics is that you're driven.
Mm-hmm.
And part of, we know that your environment, your family, examples that you have in your life probably fuel that. But you specifically said you didn't have that. So where did that drive come from? Where was it able to cultivate? How did you get it?
Well, I am a big believer in biology. And so where they ask with like the gauging, is it biology or is it environmental?
Okay.
I'm a big believer in biology in that regard. My dad was very driven, but I didn't know my dad growing up. I didn't meet my dad. My parents divorced when I was 4 or 5. I didn't see my dad, talk to my dad, know my dad until I was in my early 20s. And yet when I did meet my dad when I was 21, it was like looking in a mirror. It was a very weird. I bond well with adoptees, kids that are adopted, and we talk about like that need to meet your family, and even though I had my mom, I had my stepdad and my siblings, I had this need to meet my dad. And it really was opening up, oh wow, that we had the exact same mannerisms and the same. So I think internally I got that drive from there. I also believe that part of the reason why I'm driven is because I'm gay. I think that in a way I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder that I had to prove that I was,
Got it.
that I was worthy of love.
Right.
In a weird way. I got over that very quickly, and then just became love of money. and then that was the drive from there. Because, mom always told me it was easier to marry a rich man than a poor man. And it was, easier to be a hard worker than a lazy worker. You'll just get further in life. And, I always make the joke that anybody that tells you that money is the root of all evil has clearly never flown first class.
Right.
Now, and it's funny that we talk about money. We were having our conversation at our Mexican fiesta today. We were talking about Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and these incredibly wealthy people, and then our president right now, and who was also allegedly, very, very
Allegedly.
wealthy.
Right.
And we were talking about how money you can use it for good and you can use it for evil, and or just greed. Not even, it doesn't have to be evil. It can just be greed.
Right.
When is enough enough? And when you have enough, what do you do with it? And you talk to Bill Gates, who wants to eradicate malaria and polio, and he's putting billions of dollars
Right.
towards it, and Warren Buffett and the money that he's pledging to leave, not leave his kids anything, which I mean, that's the short end of the stick there. But
Damn you, Dad.
Right? But what an amazing story to have of, my dad's one of the richest men in the world, and he didn't use it to buy boats and planes and hookers and blow. Like, he used it for good.
Right.
And I don't know, it's just a very interesting conversation that for me personally, I've never apologized for the money that I make. And allegedly I'm one of the better real estate agents in town, and I make a really good living. I worked very hard for it.
Right.
And I don't apologize for it because I work very hard for it.
Right.
And I hope to be able to use it for good.
Nice. So when you're talking about, you believe that, being gay put a chip on your shoulder and it made you even more driven. From your experience, and in all of you, like, how many years have you been in real estate? Since 1998, I think I read.
So I think it's 21 years.
21 years. Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yes, you are. Did you ever experience that, oh my goodness, because I'm gay, it's to my detriment? Or has it always been, because I'm gay, this is, I get all the business that I need?
No, the first couple of years in business, I got very good at using pronouns. It was like, oh yeah, no, my friends and I went out, or, my other half, what a crazy individual. I got very, very good at using pronouns.
Okay.
And I think part of it came with my success as I did better and kind of going into my own skin. And also it kind of came down to, just having that maturity, and you click and you kind of say, I really don't care what you think about me, and not to go back to money, but clearly that's the theme with me. But it came back to, I was making enough money that I didn't need every sale.
Right.
If you didn't want to work with me because I was gay, well, you know what? I really didn't want to work with you either.
Right.
And so I think part of that society acceptance moving on, because I would say that was probably that way from 98 to about 2002, 2003. And then from there, I started embracing it and advertising in the gay community. I would say right now, probably easily 60-70% of my business is being with gay.
Right.
So,
and I remember that's exactly why Shelly contacted you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's human nature that you want to work with people who look like you, talk like you, understand you.
Right.
And in the gay community, that was certainly a big thing. Was, I don't want to be discriminated against. I don't want to have the perception of being discriminated against.
Right.
And there's just something about working with your own kind.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. Totally get that. You feel accepted right from the beginning.
How much that's changed. I mean, it's changed even now. It's like, I was working with a gay couple a couple years ago, these young little millennials, and they were, 23, 24, which actually they're probably not millennials then, but in my mind, you're younger than me. You're
yeah.
And they'd been together 3 or 4 years. And I said, oh, what's your favorite gay bars? And they're like, we've never been to a gay bar. And it just blew my mind, that it was these 23-year-olds that had never been in a gay bar. And they're like, why would we go there? All our friends are in straight bars.
Right.
So it's interesting how society has changed. And, I mean, for me to say my business is 60 to 70% gay is a downward trend, I'll tell you.
Okay.
It used to be 80 to 90%. So.
Right. Because I love what I think you're so good at is like it's easy to keep referring you. It really is, because I think you take such good care of. What's not taken care of, but that's a lot of the compassion and the thoughtfulness. I think you're so very thoughtful. Like when you have your Christmas shindig, when you have a pool party, when you rented out the theater for The Lion King. That was the first time I'd been to a movie, probably in 4 years, because, I became paranoid Pamela because I didn't want people to come shoot me up in the movie, but that was the first time. But I just remember, I think that goes a long way. And I know that's your way of sort of giving back. And I love, love, love the people that I always meet.
Mm-hmm.
Your circle of friends, the people, and I feel like every person that I ever interact with at your home, at your outings, feels the exact same way that I do, that we do.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's interesting. I had a good friend of mine that said one time, he's like, I love coming to your parties because, sometimes, especially in our community, sometimes you'll go to a gay party and it is 99% men and 2 lesbians.
Yes.
Or you'll go to a straight party and then you're the token gay person, or you're
right.
the token black person. And, and so my good friend Joey said, I love coming to your parties because it's a mix of everything. And I was
true.
like, oh, kind of like America's supposed to be, like,
yeah. Kind of like the real melting pot.
Right. Well, because it comes down to, for me, I've always looked at people, I don't care if you're black, white, gay, straight, purple or green. I only care that the money in your wallet is green and there's a lot of it. And, then we're good. Going right back to money.
Right back to money.
But at the end of the day, you have to treat people the way you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be treated as somebody who is respected and well known and smart and capable of what I'm doing. And
right.
You gotta put out the energy that you want to get back.
Oh man, I love that. Totally love that. I didn't really buy into putting out that energy probably until I started coaching, and then I realized that, which is something else I want to hit on with you. I realized that my internal dialogue when I first started this journey was not supporting in a productive way my journey, because I was arguing against the things that I wanted to do because I just kept letting myself talk myself out of things, right? So you're a successful realtor, right? Before Brokers Hub, you are making a really good living. I mean, because I remember going to one of your parties down on Central Avenue, and it was like we were partying on the roof. I mean, there was a DJ, and I was like, damn, Nick throws a damn good party, man. It was a good ass time, And then, you were still a bachelor then. And so, I feel like you were living it up then. But then you're like, no, I want to go out on my own and start my business. What was the motivation? Because a lot of people are like, no, I'm just comfortable working for the man. I'm comfortable knowing I'm going to always have a paycheck. What was that driving force that made you lit up to start Brokers Hub? And I love the name and I love the colors. I just love everything about it.
Thank you. Well, I know this is going to shock you, but it was money.
Shit.
No, to be perfect, I mean, it was money. I'm not going to, no bones about it. It was money. But the previous company that I was with was back in the day, and there's, as you know, there's more real estate companies out there than you could swing a dead cat at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every realtor or every company that you meet is going to tell you that they're number one, and that they have the best agents, and that they have, the highest producing agents of anybody, which is always funny to me because it's not like you can't track these things, right? But most people don't. Case in point, most people hire the first realtor they meet. And so the company that I was with at the time was known for having really, really good agents. And the reason why it was a relatively expensive company to work for. It was kind of the Nordstroms of real estate. And you couldn't work there if you weren't a great agent because you couldn't pay that bill every single month.
Mm-hmm.
And during the recession, as everybody kind of looked around and said, I don't want to shop at Nordstrom's anymore because, Kmart's looking really good.
Right.
And so my company at the time saw a mass exodus going to Kmart because it was cheaper. And so my company at the time decided, well, then we got to keep butts in seats. We got to keep our agent count up. So they lowered the standards of what they what they held as a standard for their company. And I looked around one day and I was like, I'm literally one of the last big producers. And this was a huge company. I mean, this was, we had 1,000 agents here in the Valley at the time. And I said, Mama said, you are who you hang out with, and you are what you eat.
Oh, that's so good.
Right.
Yeah.
So apparently I'm all Wendy's. But you are what you eat, and you are who you hang out with. If you hang out with losers, chances are
You're the
not
fifth
going to
loser.
be the next Warren Buffett if you're hanging out with, dopey down the street.
Yeah.
So I looked around and said, I just don't want to do this. So we started I was interviewing with other companies and saying, okay, well, what company would I go to? And what's the perk here? And what's the perk there? And I will preface it by saying I never had a desire to be a broker. I never had a desire to own my own company. The root word of broker is broke, and that wasn't lost on me. And but I started looking around and was like, there's not a company that celebrates success and makes it so that good agents want to flock there. And there's good companies out there. I'm not saying we're the best company out there. There are lots of good companies out there, but they come with caveats. And so, let's say that I wanted to go to, this big blue fancy, sign out in Scottsdale, wonderful company, great principles, but they were going to take 20% of my income.
Okay.
And I said, well, I love money. I don't want to give you 20%.
Damn that.
And yeah. And so then it was like, okay, well then what if I go to Kmart? Well, Kmart's only going to take $25 a month, but they let everybody in. And how do I differentiate myself? In my industry, we all charge roughly the same amount of money. Like I said earlier, people usually hire the very first agent that they meet. And so I would go on an interview and they would say, well, you're great, but we want to give the business to our brother's cousin, sister who just got their license. And, unless you're going to give us a big discount. And I'm like, no. Like I'm good. Why would I discount my services? I'm really good at what I do.
Right.
And why would you give the same fee that you'd pay to me to your brother's cousin, sister who just got their license? So it kind of created this thing. And I sat down with my team at the time, and I said, hey, I really want to be with a company that has really good agents, that's known for good agents. And I want a company that's not going to gouge me financially. And I want this and I want this. And they were like, so you basically want your old company 20 years ago.
That doesn't exist anymore.
I was like, yeah. So that's how we came up with Brokers Hub.
Okay.
So we made it so that in Arizona, it's probably more of how you make the sausage than you ever wanted to know. But in real estate in Arizona, everybody, when they get their license, and I literally mean everybody, because every other person in Arizona gets a real estate license at some point. So
True.
Start studying now.
Yeah. I thought about it.
Of course you do. Everybody is.
Everybody
but everybody starts out as a sales associate. And after 3 years of active selling, you can go back to real estate school, and do another 90 hours and then get your broker's license.
Okay.
And so I said, okay, well, if I can create a company where we only hire associate brokers, so by definition, all of our agents are at least 3 years in the business. And the average real estate agent in Arizona sells 4 to 5 homes a year. I believe if you're not selling a home a month, like A, you're probably not eating very well. And B, you're not really full time. Okay. And so we set a standard of you have to do at least 12 transactions a year. And you have to do 24 hours of renewal classes every 2 years to keep your license active. We require 36. And I don't let them do them online, I make them do them in person. And so what's happened, and we have 20 agents now at the company.
Wow.
And yeah. And what's great about it is the 20 agents that we have are high producing, high quality, good agents. And so all of a sudden now I'm working with my peers.
Yeah.
And when you work with your peers, it helps you elevate your standard, which floats the boat for the whole company. And so, it goes back to that, who you are who you hang out with.
So true. So true. So did you have a safety net? How did you position yourself financially to be able to take I feel like you jumped out in the deep end of the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a husband with a pension, so that helped.
Oh, very true. Very true.
There's the
Oh,
plug for
Bruce. Good old Bruce.
No, to be honest with you, we opened the brokerage 3 years ago. So the market was good. And, I had some savings,
Mhm.
which was helpful. Um, but really, regardless of whatever time you open a business, um, you have to be driven, you have to be
Mhm.
honest, and you just have to take that leap. Um, when I first got my license in 98, I went to real estate school with a very, very good friend of mine. And we were kind of study buddies in real
Mhm.
estate school. And we joined Keller Williams, which was our very first company that we joined. And I remember I wanted to do a full page ad in a magazine called Harmon Homes. And Harmon Homes is one of those magazines you get at like Safeway or whatever back
Okay.
in the day, pre-Zillow. Quite frankly, like, well, not pre-internet, but pretty damn close. And anyway, I remember that my appointment to meet with them to sign a contract was in North Scottsdale. And I remember rolling quarters that I had found in my car to put gas in my car to
Wow.
get to North Scottsdale. And I drove to North Scottsdale and I signed this contract, and it was $1,200 a month for this ad. And this was
Mhm.
in 1998 or 1999.
So that's big money. Yeah.
So
It's
big money.
expensive.
Yeah, my rent was $333.
Wow.
So literally, almost 4 times my rent.
Right.
And I remember I came back in the office and I was like, "Oh my God, Debbie, look what I just did." And she's like, "You're out of your rabbit ass mind." She's like, "Why would you do that?" And I said, "Because I have a full page ad now and I can advertise houses on it, and people are going to see that and they're going to call me, and then I can advertise their listing and I can get buyers from it." And she goes, "You're going to lose everything." And I go, "I didn't have anything to lose to start with. So, I mean, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? I'll file bankruptcy and lose my car and live in a Nipa hut. I've done that. Like, how bad can it be?"
Holy
And,
smokes.
it was scary. But in my mind,
Yeah.
I was like, this is what I need to be. I need to put myself out there to be successful. Gratefully, they had me on a 60 days pay. So by the time the magazine came out, that's when this 60 days started. I had 60 days to pay it. And it
Right.
was in Arizona about 30 days. So I was like, it's going to go out and I'm going to get a date and I'll pay it and it'll be great. And there were a few months that I didn't pay on time,
Uh-huh.
but that didn't stop me because at the end of the day, I had a plan of where I wanted to be.
Right.
And I remember one of the coaches that I had early in real estate told me to literally write out a 10-year plan
Mm-hmm.
and be ambitious about it. Where do you want to be in year one? How many
Yeah.
transactions do you want to do? How many clients do you want to have? Where does that put you in year two? Where does that put you in year three? Where's it? And I literally had it on the back of my door in my office. And by year 10, I had a team of 20. I had a team of 20 and I was making, $1 million a year and life was going to be great. And I remember I got to year 9 and I was like, I'm not even close to that. But you know where I was? I was hell of a lot closer than my friend Debbie, who was like, "What the hell are you doing this
Debbie
for?"
Downer. Yeah.
Debbie, thank you. Debbie Downer, at that time, it was probably about year 8 in the business. Debbie Downer was out of the business.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I wasn't making $1 million a year, but I was making good money.
Right.
And I
So
didn't
what,
have 12 assistants, but
yeah. What was it? What is the attribute that you have that's inside of you that you're like, you just got to take the leap. You just got to be driven. You just got to keep going. I knew I had to pay my rent, because that's easy to say today, but a lot of people don't have that. They can say it, but they don't take the action. What is it that you have that a lot of people like Debbie, you
Mhm.
think don't have, that kept you plugged into your goal?
Yeah. Well, as well, maybe you know, but your listeners don't know. I was raised religious, believe it or not. Um,
I love that story.
yeah,
A good
and
old Mormon.
good old Mormon. But I am a firm believer of faith without works is dead. I had faith that if I put the work in, that I could go where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
It never even dawned on me that I wouldn't be successful if I didn't put the work into it.
Mm-hmm.
And not to get all patriotic on you, but we do live in a fabulous country that rewards success
Right.
and rewards hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're going to have delusions of grandeur like I did, you have to put some effort into it. This is
Yeah.
not this is not a this is not we don't live in a world that you can just manifest your dreams. As much as I want to say, put it out there, girl,
It's got to be a little work
Four
behind
Peaks, if
that.
you're listening, but Four Peaks is going to be a sponsor of yours
Yeah.
because you put together a podcast and you mention them 1,000 times and you hashtag them and say, oh, Four Peaks was mentioned on, the podcast
Right.
today. And so you're not just, putting it out there based on the stars.
Right.
You're putting in the work to do it. So for me, it never dawned on me that I could work and not have fruit. you know
Right.
I had a quote in my office years ago that said, if you want a shady backyard, plant a tree 20 years ago.
Mm.
And work is not, or success is not overnight. um
Right.
it's just not. And when I have agents that come to me and say, hey, I want to get into real estate, and you look like it's so easy and you make so much money and you drive a Range Rover and I want to be you. And I was like, well, I drove a Chevy Cavalier for the first 4 years of my career, and it wasn't a pretty Cavalier.
Right.
Uh, so you have to put in that effort in order to get it. I mean, this is a blood,
Yeah.
sweat, and tears business for me, and I think any business is that way.
I hope you're enjoying the episode. I just wanted to take a brief moment to ask you to please leave a review and tell us what you think of the show. Maybe even include a favorite topic or something you'd like me to cover on an upcoming episode. Leaving reviews helps other people be able to find the show better, and then I can help more people. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm.
You know,
I feel like just listening to some of the nuggets that you're dropping in your dialogue here, I feel like you've done, some personal development work. I know you said you work with a coach who helped you, plan your 10-year vision, that kind of thing. What
yeah,
other kind of personal development have you done that helped to make you the man you are today and the entrepreneur that you are today?
yeah. Well, no man is an island, so
Mm-hmm.
you can't do it alone.
Right.
And so you do need, if anything, you need something to bounce ideas. You need somebody to bounce ideas off of.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always felt that having a coach, and it could be a coach that you pay for, it could be the Bible. I mean, it could be
Right.
whatever, is going to float your boat to help, give you those ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But early on, I joined with the team. And so I had a mentor in real estate that
Mm-hmm.
taught me all the things of how to be a good real estate agent, but he also taught me a lot of things of that he was not a great agent. He actually lost his license to fraud not too long afterwards.
Well, that was
Uh,
a lesson you weren't going to repeat.
well, and this is, I mentioned earlier about being loyal to like my title companies and mortgage companies. I remember sitting down with this individual and he said, hey, you see my cell phone here? And, my cell phone, I don't pay for that. I make my title company pay for that. And, and my new computer here, I didn't pay for that. My home warranty company paid for that. And I was like, you make $100,000 a year and you can't buy your own damn printer? So I took from that of, things that I did want to emulate and things that I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
That was, so I think having a coach, good and bad, I don't believe
Right.
there's a bad coach out there, because you can have a horrible coach that you can learn to not be that horrible coach.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I think it is important to have that idea to bounce off of somebody
Mm-hmm.
and to have that accountability.
Right.
So, if one of the very first things I did was a course called Floyd Wickman's Sweat Hog course. And what Floyd Wickman did, he was the king of cold calling. Of course, this is when we could cold call, right?
Right. Right. Now people just hang up.
And literally, I mean, I think I paid $800 for his course, and so I didn't eat that month, which was great for my weight. It was fabulous. Nothing tastes as good as being thin. And I remember he came around the room and he had the white pages, and he literally tore out pages and handed it to us and handed us a script and said, go to your respective corners and don't come back until you've called every one of these people using this script.
Wow.
It was brutal. But hi, my name is Nicholas Yale. I work with Keller Williams Realty in the East Valley, and I'd like to know if you're interested in buying or selling a home in real estate. If you're interested, please call me back at 480-797-4422. Ask me to say that 16 times, and I can.
And you can today.
And you know, and that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But it was brutal, and I hated it. And I remember I had people that would swear at me, and they would curse at me, and they'd hang up on me. And I remember one time I was probably 2 weeks into it, and this guy says, oh, I have been thinking about selling my house. And I was like, well, fuck you too. Oh, wait, what? You know, and so, you know, and I remember coming to him, and I was just like, and I said, you know, and it was probably right before that. And I said, this is just pointless. Like, I'm having people, they're just, yeah, they're killing me. They're just yelling at me. And I said, I'm never going to get business from this. And he said, sweetheart, you're missing the point. This is not for you to get business. This is for you to grow a thick skin, because this business will eat you alive if you're going to be, you know, thin.
Got it.
And so for me, that was like, oh, okay. So all of a sudden, when I realized this really wasn't about getting the business, it made those calls a lot easier.
Right.
And I was a lot more confident / cocky about it.
Okay.
You know, so having a good coach is somebody that will help inspire you, hopefully, one way or the other. And then, you know, I love Shark Tank. I don't know if you watch Shark Tank.
Oh, we watch Shark Tank it's what, Fridays? Absolutely.
I mean, it's, you know, and I'll go on a hiatus, and then my TiVo will be like, you're maximum capacity here. I love watching Shark Tank because I listen to the things that they say. And one of my favorite things of Mr. Wonderful is, this is a horrible idea. You need to take this idea back behind the barn and shoot it. And you'll thank me later for it.
Right.
Sometimes you need to hear that as an entrepreneur. Sometimes you need to hear, this is a horrible idea, you know? And then you have things like the guy that created the Ring doorbell.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't get a bid. He did not get, they all thought it was crazy.
Yep. They all said no.
Of course, then one of them circled back and said, well, we'll give you some money, and recreated it to be what it is today. It's, I mean, who do you know who doesn't have a Ring doorbell anymore?
Right.
So, well, actually, I shouldn't say that out loud. Me, I don't have a Ring doorbell.
Yeah, we don't either.
My husband
we have cameras, but not a Ring. Yeah.
But you know, it takes that. Sometimes it takes people saying, no, you're batshit crazy. You shouldn't be doing this. And at the same time, if you have enough in you, you know, no, I'm not crazy. You're crazy. And no, we're going to make this work. So.
Right. So in building Brokers Hub, and I know you have a vision for the future, because when you first started out, you had it behind your door. So I know you have yet a newly created vision. Tell me a little bit about what that vision looks like, and how do you empower your team to buy in and help you create and fulfill that vision?
Well, it's world domination.
Yes.
So there's that.
Long as you still like us.
Yes.
Okay, good.
You know, what I think has been interesting in relation to that is how I have changed as a person. Because I make the joke about, you know, I want to see Brokers Hub Realty grow to be the next Remax or Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker. But I also realized, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm probably not the person to take it to that height.
Wow.
Yeah. And that and part of that is because of where I'm at in my life at the moment. You know, you can have a dream, and don't be so stuck and hard on your dream that you lose sight of everything else and lose that. Because I realized that, you know, it's a great company. I've actually shocked myself of it. I've really enjoyed building it, and certainly not done. So we may not dominate the world, but we'll dominate Arizona. Just give us time. But really, for me, the joy of it has not been me personally growing. It's watching the agents that we have, watching them grow, and watching, excuse me, Pellegrino, watching them become better agents. And
Okay.
then and really it's almost evangelical in the fact that at some point I don't have to be the one to sell the brokerage. They're
Mm,
doing it for me.
right.
You know, we have an agent that has probably brought on two or three people to the company
Hmm.
because she's like, it's so great, and it's this and it's that, and we do this and we do that, and you know, so for me, I would like to see the company grow, because I would like it to be profitable because
Hmm.
money.
Money.
Um, but I also want to make sure that we're growing it responsibly
Right.
and with the right type of people, because otherwise, what was the whole point of doing it in the first place?
Absolutely. You know, and you continually refer to money, and I know you say that, and that could be something that drives you.
I've had a lot of therapy for it.
Yeah, but it's not what I get from you. You
Well, and
know,
I think,
it's
but
not.
well, thank you, and you know, because it goes back to our Warren Buffett versus Donald Trump conversation about money.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it's what you do with the money.
Hmm.
You know, I love to help people. I love to help and be helped and be generous.
Right.
And it's a lot easier to loan somebody $1,000 who really needs it
Mm.
when you have $1,000 and it doesn't affect your daily life,
Right. And you don't
right?
care if you get it back or not.
Absolutely, absolutely. So a great example, I was on a Facebook page the other day for a community in our downtown area, and this lady had posted on Facebook that she was in a clearly a craptastic little rental, and she said, you know, my kids, we found some wood pallets to sleep on because it
Oh.
elevates off the hot cement, and our AC went out, and the landlord said he can't fix it. Does anybody have a spare fan that I can borrow to keep my kids cool? And it just broke my heart.
Hmm.
And so I said to Bruce, and I said, I kind of want to get in the car right now and go buy this lady an AC unit, um, because you see stuff like that,
Right.
and it really makes you realize how grateful we are for the life that we have, and it
Hmm.
makes me want to go out and help people like that. And you can't help
Yeah.
people like that if you don't have money.
That's true. The
That's where
more
I go back
money
to
that's true. The more money you have, the more good you can do.
right, right.
So wow. And you know, there's something about you, and especially what you've been talking about. You said, you know, that you can't take your company to that grand vision, but you're driven. I know what got you here won't get you there, but you're such
And
a guy who I feel like who would just create and change his tactics and his actions and take that company wherever he wants
yeah,
it to go.
and I would say, and I guess in a way I misspoke in that regard of I could take it there,
Hmm.
but in the last couple of years my priorities have changed.
Here we go.
You
Okay.
know, Bruce is 56. I'm a young spring chicken of 25,
Yes, you are.
and you know, we talk about retirement, you know,
Hmm.
retirement the next 4 or 5 years,
Right.
and you know, if I get my way, it'll be on the coast of Costa Rica.
I knew
um,
you were going to say that.
and so, you know, I mean, my priorities have changed, that it's not that important for me to see the company grow to be the next Remax,
Yeah,
because ultimately I want to make me happy,
absolutely.
and I want to make my husband happy. I want him to feel like he, you know, is part of the journey as well.
Yeah,
And so maybe that journey is, hey, you grow the brokerage to a certain point and then you pass it off to somebody else, and then you get to watch it from a background and watch it grow and know that you had a part of that,
right.
you know.
Wow.
So
That's so incredible. So since we're talking about Bruce, I believe that, you know, partnerships work so much better. I'm sure there are times when this doesn't work, but they work better when there's a yin and there's a yang,
yeah.
right? And so I feel like you and Bruce are like pictures in the dictionary. Here we go. Yin to the yang. How does Bruce fulfill and fill that need of your opposite, your yin to your yang, or your yang to your yin?
Well, for starters, let's make it very clear that Bruce is a aerospace engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is very analytical, and where it works for us is we're very respectful of our differences, because we are, as you said, very different
Yeah.
people. But we work well because we respect each other's differences, and yet, and I know you're not going to believe this when I say this, but we've been together 12 years, married for 4 or 5 years now. We've never had a fight. We do
Yeah.
not fight. We do
Yeah.
not fight.
I believe it.
We rarely disagree with each other. Could be because we're so passive that, you know, we're just going to let our brains fall out. But we don't fight. But he does wheel me in when my delusions of grandeur get,
Yes.
you know. So perfect example. 2 weeks ago, and we've been in the house. So the house that we're in, Bruce bought back in 1996, and he's been there since 1996. And I moved in 2009, and we've remodeled the kitchen and the bathroom and put in a pool, and it looks nothing like before I moved in. But it's not my house. It will always be his house. And it's always a little ting in me that just, it bothers me.
Okay. Even if you have a bidet?
Yeah, if you have a bidet, it's still not my house.
Okay.
And so I've been constantly saying, you know, I want to buy something together. I want to have that experience together.
Yeah.
And, you know, Bruce is like, but our house is paid for. Why would we go buy a new house? That's his right brain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, you know, if I had my way, we would have moved 10 times in the last 12 years, you know, would be broke, but, you know, we would have fabulous houses.
Right.
So 2 weeks ago, we find this great house. I found this great house, and I was like, oh my God, you can see this. It's amazing, da, da, da. And the house legit is perfection. It is exactly, and I forced him to come look at it, and he walks in and he's like, I see why you like this. He's like, this is you to a T. So do you want to move to Costa Rica? Do you want a cabin in Munns Park? Do you want a new house? Do you want a new husband?
Wow.
You know, and
multiple choice.
Like, and I was like, I want D, all of the above. But he brings me down and said, you know, sure, if that's what you want to do. Like when I opened the brokerage, you know, I said, hey, I've got this idea and what I want to do. And he's like, is it going to put us in bankruptcy? And I'm like, no, because I don't know. You never know opening a new business, right?
Yeah.
He goes, do you believe in it? And I said, I do. And he goes, okay, well, what's the worst thing that's going to happen?
Oh,
you know,
that's
so
incredible.
having a partner that will put you on a little bit of a leash, pull it back when it needs to, is great. But knowing that they have your back, and I have his back.
Yeah.
I watch a lot more Star Wars than. Did you know they're making new Star Wars? Like, wasn't that an 80s thing?
I know, but they keep coming out with new ones.
He made me watch Star Wars. Said, okay, I want to watch it from the very beginning. And so we sat down with some friends and I said, we're going to start with number 1. And they were like, oh no, you start with number 4. I don't understand it, but okay.
Okay.
About halfway through, and I lean over and I'm like, where's William Shatner? See, you're not a Star Wars fan.
I'm not, because I have no idea what the significance of that question is.
Your listeners are blowing up right now. William Shatner was in Star Trek.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
Luke. That's when they turned on me.
Okay.
And
I didn't even know.
And then I fell asleep. But a few months ago, during the lockdown of COVID, we watched Tiger King.
Okay. Yeah, that was all the rage.
Yeah. And Bruce watched it right there with me.
Okay.
Probably with as much enthusiasm as I watched Star Wars. But you know, so having somebody that you connect well with and that will be supportive of you and yet ring you back when you need it is it really is.
Yeah, I love that. I remember when when we got married, my friend Dara said, you know, one thing I always love about Trey is all about fun. Trey dreams up fun, but Shelly's the one that makes fun happen. So she reins me back into, and she goes, I don't think we should be doing that, but I want to do it. Okay. You know, and so you got to have that opposite. So if you're just going to jump off, in the end of the ocean, to
Yeah.
have a support. Outside of Bruce, who else has had the biggest impact on your success and on your life as a person?
I mean, I would definitely have to say my dad. Like I said earlier, I didn't know my dad growing up. And that's a whole nother podcast all in itself. But I met my dad very briefly when I was 19 for 15 minutes, literally 15 minutes. And then we reconnected when I was 21. And my dad was in real estate in Houston. And he was one of the very first people that I came out to. And then told him that I wanted to go into real estate. And I don't know which disappointed him more.
Wow.
And I remember I got my real estate license and I called my dad. I had sold a little condo over in Mesa. And I called my dad and I said, Dad, I just sold a condo. And he goes, well, that's great, son. How much was it? And I said, it was $68,000. And he goes, oh my God. And he goes, Nicholas, and he's from Texas, so thick accent, right? Nicholas, it is the same amount of paperwork to sell a $500,000 house as a $50,000 house. And it's a hell of a bigger paycheck. And I go, yeah, okay.
Okay.
And he goes, are you still working at the Olive Garden? And I go, I am. And he goes, oh, you are an embarrassment to me and your profession. Wow. So you're either going to get into this full time or put your happy ass back in school. And Trey, I'm here to tell you, I was not going to pass that math class. So I was like, I walked into Olive Garden that night and I was like, I'm going to be a real estate agent. See ya.
There you go.
And I never looked back. Yeah. He was a huge influencer for me in that. And then I also think my friends, having a really good, you can't choose your family,
but you can choose your friends.
You can choose your friends.
Yes.
And I think it's fabulous if you have a great family and you all love each other. I'd smother half my family with a pillow if I could get away with it.
None of them will ever hear this.
You're still recording, so just kidding.
I will never hear this.
So you can't choose your family, and I'm a kid, but I respectfully love my family, but I really love my friends because they inspire me to be a better human,
right?
And to I have a good friend of mine that will drag me out to a protest, and I'll go kicking and screaming, but I feel better when I'm done.
Of course.
And I have a good friend of mine that forces me to eat tofu, and I hate her for it.
But you do it.
But I do it, and that's the beauty of life.
Yeah.
And I think, for me also, I'm inspired by the people that I work with in my company. For the third time, it's, you are who you hang out with.
Yes.
So if you never want to be, being the biggest fish in the pond isn't that great. Everybody else is nibbling at your fins.
Yep.
And you're constantly swimming to, you're the Joneses. It's great to be, part of the ocean and be a part of the whole.
Yeah.
So
I love that. So since, you said Bruce is 56 and you're, just a mere 25, Bruce got you barely when you were just legal. Such a young buck.
A Mormon bride.
Yes. What is it about your life and how you've structured your days that gives you the most enjoyable amount of, why do you enjoy your days so much? Like, I'm talking Monday through Friday also.
I'm like, you're insinuating that I love my days. That's great.
No, you don't.
I will say that, and this could be part of why, I'm not opposed to retiring early with my older husband, because, my business is stressful. And I am very structured. My alarm clock goes off at 6:15 every single morning, 7 days a week. The idea of sleeping in till 11 o'clock because it's a Saturday is a foreign concept to me. And part of my body just is adapted that way.
Right.
I'm in bed at 10 o'clock every single night with very rare exception. I lay there for 15 or 20 minutes and I read my Huffington Post or whatever other liberal media I can get my hands on, and get a little worked up, and then I read something fluffy. And by 10:28, I roll over and I'm like, I can't keep my eyes open. I go, oh, it's 10:28. That's why.
That's why.
And Bruce says I lay my head down and I'm gone.
Right.
It's, but I'm very structured now. I get up at 6:15. I literally get up and stretch, and I pet the dog. I make coffee. I go pee. I let the dog out. I come back. I check my email. And when my day gets off for whatever reason, we have to go do something in the morning, or if I have my calendar, and I'm very structured in I'm amazed at people that don't use calendars, or on your phone or whatever. Like,
yeah.
They're like, oh, I forgot I had that meeting with you. Well, isn't it in your calendar? I'm gonna use a calendar. Like,
well, how do you know when to show up anywhere?
Yeah. How do you know to have lunch?
Right.
But when I have, and it's comical because in my business, you get little, bombs here and there,
right,
time bombs that throw your day off. And I will tell you, those are the day that Nick takes a Xanax with a chase or a vodka, because I don't do well when my day is not structured.
Wow. Okay.
That's just kind of how I'm wired.
Yeah, I get that. I like having some structure, but I also like putting a little bit of flexibility into that.
Yeah.
So
I will learn that from you.
Yeah. I do love that because I would, I like having that sense of security, that sense of certainty, that knowing that boom. But I do like knowing, I don't feel like getting up today. I want to sleep in. But sleeping in for me is till like 7:00 because I got to get up and watch Good Morning America because the first 17, 18 minutes of that is the best. Everything else is a repeat or just fluff stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, yep, got to get up and I sit there with my coffee. But there just are certain things. What gets Nick into flow to where he is his absolute best to do his best work first thing?
It really, for me, it starts in the morning. I mean, I have to get up on time.
Right.
I have to have my coffee, and everybody knows.
Yeah.
Until that happens, just until it's about halfway done, just stay away.
Yeah.
So it's that. I had something until you said it in my head, and then I forgot what I was going to say, and it wasn't you, it was me. Because I just keep thinking about something that you do that I've always admired is you take baths.
I do.
I don't know if your listeners know this, but this crazy girl here takes baths.
I love a good bath.
Do you shower?
I do. When I'm quick, like I took a bath this morning and then I took a shower after my workout.
See,
I've already bathed twice today.
Nobody have time for that. Ain't nobody have time for that.
Right.
But I do love that about you because I think that actually says something about you, that you take that self-care time. And I'm assuming that this is my vision of what trades in the bathtub.
Please paint it.
A candle or two, there's some rose petals, and you're sipping, a fine Four Peaks beer.
6:00 in the morning.
No judgment.
That's right.
I don't think that you're sitting there reading the New York Times. I could be wrong, but I love that you take that self-care.
Yeah.
I totally forgot what your question was. Sorry. Because I was thinking about you in the bath.
Yeah, well, I mean, because that's something, but I was asking, what is the thing? Like, I do my bath sometime. And in my bath, I also will meditate. If I don't meditate, it just throws me off in the morning. If I don't take that time to go, what is my intention today? What is it that, how do I want to show up today? That puts me in flow. So I was asking, what is that, like the one thing or the two things that you do?
I mean, I definitely have to have my schedule, and I have to know what my schedule is going to be that day. And for me, I'm also, I'm an office agent. I have to go to the office every day. Well, I take that. I go back 5 days a week. I go to the office.
Even during COVID, you did?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't say that, because I'm a workaholic, although I could be accused of that. It's for me, even if I don't have anything on my calendar that day, I need to have that structure of I go somewhere and I find things to do.
Right.
I think that's part of success is, you just don't wait for it to happen. You got to kind of make it happen.
Absolutely.
You got to go shake that money tree.
You got to go shake it. It's not going to shake on its own.
Yeah. And then I think for me, because my business does tend to be 7 days a week sometimes, and sometimes 7 days a week for months on end. And
Mm-hmm.
we're in that period right now, by the way. Like it is insane.
So
Um,
COVID has been good for you.
for me, it was funny. I was telling somebody that like I'm insanely busy right now. We're almost into July.
Right.
I'm insanely busy, and I had an agent said, "Why are you so busy right now?" And I said, "Well, because when you were all sitting on your couch, grooving a hole in your couch with your ass watching Netflix during COVID, I was going to the office and I was shaking that money tree and I was sending out my emails and I was calling clients and texting clients and, hey, Shelly, are you washing your hands?
Right.
It had nothing to do with real estate, but it was about connecting with people because there was nothing really else to do. And as a result of it, like I probably picked up 10 or 15 clients in that 45 period that was like, now that you mention it, I don't want to quarantine in this house anymore.
Right.
It's over. Let's start talking.
Let's sell this bastard. Yeah.
So, when business gets that way, I am very good about taking time off and for me, it has to be all or nothing. So like, I convinced Bruce to go on cruises with me. He was like, I have no desire. You're not going to have to. I'm like, you're going to go on one. If you don't like it, peace out. I'll go by myself. Or I'll go with friends. Of course, he loves it, and we do one or two a year. But the reason why is because we get on the boat, and he's like, give me your cell phone, and it goes in the safe.
Nice.
And he puts a combo that I don't know. So because that's the only way I'm really gonna, and it takes me 2 or 3 days of itching,
like a crack whore.
yeah. And then after 2 or 3 days, I'm like, is it Wednesday? So for me, I need that.
Yeah.
You can be so on, but then you need time.
Yeah.
Totally I wish I could be more like you and take a little here and a little there and a 30-minute path.
Right. Well, I think, I was talking, I had a session with a client just yesterday, and he was saying that, I don't know anybody who loves their job. You're not supposed to like your job. And I was like, oh, that's bullshit. I'm like, we are here to create the life that we want to live. And I'll be damned. I'm not a teacher anymore. And if I can't create the life that I want to live, every single day to where Monday feels like Saturday, then why am I even doing this? And so it's by my design. So I love that. So Nick, I know, again, young life here, just 25 years, but in your lifetime, in your experience, I know that everything can be a learning tool. Do you have any regrets, something that you wish you knew then that you know now? You would have made a different decision?
Oh, this is where you're gonna make a Lifetime movie commercial. And again, it goes to, so my dad passed away when I was young. So, I met my dad at 19 for a few minutes, met him again at 21, had a couple years and then passed away. And my dad left me a couple of nickels rubbed together. And I was 25. And I blew that money. I blew my inheritance, and it was the money that my dad had worked his whole life for. And I blew it in about 3 years. I had a lot of fun with it. I gotta tell you, it was a lot of fun. And we're gonna say it was money well spent.
Right.
Because I learned a really valuable lesson from it. And it's probably why I am as attracted to Bruce as I am. And so when Bruce tries to wheel me in on stuff, I recognize that he's not just being a jerk and a tightwad.
Yeah.
There's a benefit to it. I wish that I had started saving money when I was younger. I'm very, very blessed in my career that aside from year one, I've never made less than 6 figures in my entire career, even during 2008 when the market was
right.
And it wasn't until Bruce and I started dating in 2008. Oh, I'm gonna get in trouble for that. 2008. And he's like, how do realtors work? You got a 401k, and I was like, 401 who? He's like, but you got retirement savings, right? And I was like,
no, I don't.
you know?
Yeah.
So, I was not, and part of that was how I was raised. I was not raised with respect for money.
Mm.
And maybe that's why I have such a weird relationship with money. But we were not poor, but you would have never known it because
Yeah.
and every dime we had, and never saved for a rainy day. And so I wish that was something that's probably my
Okay.
biggest regret in life.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
Wow, thank you for sharing that with us. So just, two more questions. The last one, the last real question before you tell us where we can connect with you. Um, if anybody's listening to this podcast today and they're on the fence, whether they're a young person coming out of college, whether they're somebody who is wanting to transition from a career to something else,
Mhm.
what would be your biggest piece of advice for someone who is doubting themselves? Like if they want to be an entrepreneur, what is your biggest advice to help them succeed on their journey?
Definitely, hands down, do your research. You got to do your research,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to kind of humble yourself and have a mentor, have somebody that you shadow. Um, in our industry, I'll have agents that say, "Oh, I want to get my real estate license, and I'm going to make $100,000 a year, and it's going to be great." And I'm like, "Why don't you go join a team first?"
Right.
And they're like, "Well, I talked to a team leader, but they're going to take half of my commission." I'm like, "Do you know what half of nothing is? Like,
Nothing.
girl, you're going to starve to death." Like, so having somebody, see somebody that if you want to start a business in real estate or coaching or whatever, do
Mm-hmm.
your research and then humble yourself to say, "Hey, can I apprentice with you for a while?"
Right.
Because you may apprentice with a life coach or real estate agent and
Mm-hmm.
go, "You guys are batshit crazy.
I'm
I
not
do
doing
not
this.
want to be a part of this."
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you gave up your job at Intel and gave up your cush benefits so that you
Right.
could sell real estate. And showing houses in 117-degree heat with swamp ass and boob sweat, it's not sexy. They don't show that on Bravo, $1 million
Right.
listing,
Right.
right? So, a couple of months of mentoring somebody, you might realize that, boob sweat's not your thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think anybody that's starting into a different business or a different career, or I'm always amazed at these, for kids, we talk about these young kids and go, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" What 7-year-old knows what they want to be when they grow up?
Right. They're just going to give some little answer and not know what that even
Right.
means.
And as parents or whatever, we kind of, pigeon our kids into, well, little Debbie's going to be a doctor.
Mhm.
Nobody, by the
Yep.
way, grows up to be a real estate agent. I'm going to make that clear.
Right. That's
Yeah.
true. No one
We're
ever
all
says
going to be,
that.
we're all going to be doctors
Our
and
lawyers.
lawyers or,
Yep.
President of the United States. That
Yeah.
really could happen for anyone now.
So true.
So I think it's important that you do your research, and
Hmm.
I just can't say enough about having a coach or having a mentor or
Yeah.
a sidekick to follow around for a while.
Right. I love that. I love that. And, because I'm a coach now, but I never knew the benefit outside of playing sports,
Hmm.
outside of, working for a public school. You always had mentors, but now that I'm on my own, I'm a part of these groups, I'm a part of these masterminds, and I have my own coach.
Hmm.
So yeah, I totally am with you on that. And one of my favorite quotes is what you kept repeating, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah, yeah.
And so what I realize even more spending this time with you, that we need to spend more time
I was gonna say
together.
we need some more time together.
Yes, we
Love
need
it.
to spend more time together.
And have a Four
So
Peaks white ale.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So Nick, where can the listeners connect with you? What are your deets?
Well, you can smoke signal in the sky, and
Yes.
I can see that up there, and I can find you. You can find me on the World Wide Web
Mhm.
at nicholasyale.com. That's probably the easiest way to find me.
Okay.
My office, I'm in downtown Phoenix. We're in the ground floor of a fabulous building called Portland Park. And I'm down here, as we talked about,
Yeah.
5 days a week. But my phone number, I am actually somebody who answers their phone most of the time.
Mhm.
And I'm really good with text. So my phone number, 480-620-8075. But the best way is email.
Nice. Woo,
Nicholas at
woo.
nicholasyale.com.
Okay, perfect. Nick, thank you so much. I've had so much fun with this conversation. I've learned
Likewise.
so much more about you, as a matter of fact.
I think next time I should interview you because I want to hear really what you do in the bathtub.
Okay, that's definitely a second podcast.
Yeah. I'm going to buy you some of the little bath bombs. And
yes. Oh, I love a good bath bomb. I love it,
Wow.
love it, love it. If you like what you're hearing, and perhaps you're interested in having a complimentary conversation with me, click the link at the bottom of the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. If you even want to know more about what I'm up to, head over to traviastewart.com. And if you like seeing the videos of the podcast, every episode is on my YouTube channel. Take care, guys.